Go! Welcome to the show. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me. Cause it's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. Let's get a topic straight. Let's get things good. Let's do everything that we should. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Hello, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Tigger, Project Open Mic. You guys are doing well. Thursday night, you know, another show. We have an interesting topic to talk about per se. So, of course, for this topic, we talk about males, black, white, and different. I have my lovely wife back again this time to join me with this.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday.
Hope everybody had a great Mother's Day, as Mother's Day had just passed. I enjoyed it and did the right thing.
That means did the right thing.
Call your mama.
Oh, okay.
Some
Yes.
people don't call their mama.
Well, if I would hope that if they're on good terms with their mother, they would call them. I know some relationships can be fractured. Those,
Yeah,
not to
that's
put a
true.
damper, but
Yeah.
I read a post, and this is going all off topic, I guess.
No, it's all right.
But it was like a financial counselor that I follow, and he got very transparent about the fractured relationships he has with his adopted mother and birth mother, and how Mother's Day hits different for him. And I think he was just using that platform that day as a way to express that. And he talked about the ways that he had tried to make those relationships healthier, and eventually it was just robbing too much of his peace, and he had to lay down those boundaries. And I think he was just using that as an opportunity for anyone who was maybe trying to, if there was a lot of shame or guilt, because that day, signifies usually honoring your mother, and if that's not the case for them, to release yourself from that pressure. And I really, even though thankfully that's not a situation that I personally identify with, I did commend him for being transparent and opening up about that, because that can be true in some cases. But
Yeah.
completely
No.
off topic, but you
No,
said
no,
Mother's
no,
Day, and
no.
I just thought about that. So
No, it's something to talk about. I have nothing against it. Just because, like I said, there's a lot of things that's coming up right now that is unique to itself. Because I always have this. If you, most people who watch my show for a long time, not everybody who gives birth is a mother. Not every same thing for us with fathers. It's a special bond that you need to have, and I mean bond, because there are people out there who bonded with some other people and see them as their father figure or their mother figure, kind of like how you said with the being adopted and that. So
right.
I'm just saying, even for those, like say, if you were adopted, because we know people who are adopted.
Well, and I mean, when I look at adoption, that is your parents,
Yeah,
so
and
it's not meant to be a mentor or what have you. They are your parent, but I understand what you're saying, that parenthood can show up in different avenues. It's not always biological.
yes. So that is true on that. And again, we wish everybody hope they had a good Mother's Day Sunday. And then I don't know. Just give you a heads up right now. Next week might not be a show. I'm changing up my studio stuff here to do stuff to get stuff nice and clean
Has
and
nothing to do with
nothing to
me.
do with her. No, of course. But I gotta clean up, and I'm basically switching my PC to another PC, which again my lovely wife will help me build.
Yay.
Yeah, but I am gonna be switching and doing that. So it would say, so if you don't see a show next Thursday, that is why I gotta take some drives from the old piece I'm using to that and blah blah blah, technical stuff. So technical issues whatever. And yes, I have gotten some texts already, not now, but like over the week, of people like, hey, you're gonna talk about the John Durham report, which I will bring it up maybe next week. And if you don't know what the Durham report was, that was the FBI
Oh,
report.
yes, I've heard about
Yeah.
that.
Well, of course, the evidence came on this week that it had nothing to do with nothing. The
Uh-huh.
FBI overstepped their bounds.
Yeah. I
Which
wasn't surprised, but yeah.
you wasn't surprised by that.
I don't think a lot of people
Well, there are people out there are.
were. Well, yeah, true.
Yes, because a lot of people are right now saying it's a bad thing. So, but anyway, that we'll get to that another time. Tonight, I wanted my wife's perspective on this. This is basically a relationship, not only a relationship between men and women, and mothers and fathers. This is like a multiple setup that we're using this as a statement to this. That's what I'm trying to. In the topic we're talking about tonight. Ebony K. Williams is a lawyer, but she has her own podcast show and she invites people on there. And she had Ayana Van Zandt on the show. Now, like I'm gonna play the long version of a certain video because everybody using the certain clip. So, like the ladies, I like to use the long version so everybody got a context of what's going on, not just oh this happened or whatever. Because for me, I myself have no problem. You're talking about everyone else, but she said to Ayana Van Zandt, the bus driver comment. That's her preference. I don't care about that. That didn't bother me. I know it bothered a lot of people, but it did
Mm-hmm.
not bother me. That's if she wanted a doctor, go get a doctor. She want That's her preference. She has the preference to find who she wants to find. Can she get it? Different story. But she want to get it. That's what it is. I didn't take as a black guy. I didn't take offense to it. Now her response after that, I did have a little, I took offense to. So we'll get in that. But I wanted to put up the whole video because Ayana Van Zandt was talking about something in there. Now I'm gonna play a clip of two young ladies I've used before. All right, Kieran. I forgot the other girl's name, but my, you'll see the screen. I'll say you'll see anyway. But I don't agree with everything they say, but it's just a talk is a good jump off to talk about this topic. So I don't agree with everything they say on there because I pre-listened to half of the video.
Okay, and I guess just to add to the background, I don't know. I don't really know anything about Ebony K. Williams and her podcast.
Yeah,
For any of the listeners out there, I am pretty familiar, very familiar with Iyanla Vanzant. She's a life and relationship coach, and she had her own show for a good amount of time, and she spent a great deal of her life counseling individuals. I personally um, take to heart a lot of what she says. I'm not
yeah,
gonna say I blindly follow every person on television, but I've come to hear a lot of her counsel is wise wisdom, especially in the past, I guess, decade or so. When as a whole, especially in a lot of the entertainment platforms, a lot of minority women have needed some tough love in some of their um counsel and sit downs. My frayed face is all frozen.
yeah,
but
it does that. That's why I'm
but
upgrading to a new computer to help this.
oh, so that's what that would be for.
That would help. Yes,
See,
new
for
camera, new
us
everything.
us untechy people, that explains it all. That we're
Got
like,
you.
okay, that's
No
why.
problem. But yes, that would
But yeah,
happen. Yes.
so
And I'll add to this before we get into this. I too would agree, and I wish I didn't find a clip, which I could have played a clip because I am a good follower of and I don't agree with everything she said as well too. But I am a good because of what her long story was, which is Sister Sherzad Ali. And I wanted to have the clip of when she and Ayana went back in the '90s when Ayana was against what Sister, but funny enough, she's saying exactly what Sister Sarah as he was saying now. So it's kind of just to say that. But again, there's stuff that I understand gonna say that I agree with as well, like as my wife just said. We don't follow blindly, but and there's some things I'm like, no, because we can't in a certain way. But we'll get to that. We'll see that. So let me set it up so we could put on the screen right here. So it's Karen Danielle. That's what it is. That's the name of the ladies that's we're gonna be using here. So I'm gonna so they don't have that. So let's put that on the screen.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So several of you guys have been asking about Eboni Williams, is that her name? Ebony K. Williams, and this whole Iyanla situation. Which I guess she was on her a talk show that she does, or a show that she does on, looks like YouTube. And the clip that was sent to us was it's like a 2-minute clip about her talking about the bus driver thing. So just to get a full context, I actually like to go and find the full conversation of what they were talking about.
And that's what we're gonna be talking about, more full conversation.
What they were actually talking about.
Because I don't want to just be that one piece, and
we don't know the full.
Most people have been cut off from that.
So, I've seen a little bit what she said, but not all of what she said.
And they invited her on
and see what this woman is all about. If you guys do not know,
she invited Iyanla
onto her platform. Yes,
she was. I know who Iyanla is.
She did.
It says here that she is an American lawyer and a television host. She co-hosts the late-night talk show State of the Culture on Revolt TV. She co-hosted a talk show on WABC radio in New York City and was a co-host of Fox News in 2017. She has a lot of different things that she's done. She also says that she was, in October 2020, she was was casted in the Real Housewives of New York City for its 13th season. So that's kind of what gives you a synopsis of who she is. So we're going to go into this. People did not like what she had to say, and we're going to see why that is.
We want to discuss masculine energy, feminine energy. I do want to start with kind of a news framing, which is that women's rights across the country, especially black women's rights, they're under attack. Lots of laws are banning abortions. They are regulating what we can and cannot do with our bodies.
Do you think that's a black woman's right? I'm just asking you since you're female.
It's funny because, and this is probably earns its own show in itself. I was is her name Susan Williams, the woman?
Yes.
Subverted Truth.
Yes, Subverted Truth.
I was talking about a book called Subverted Truth, written by Susan Williams, who is someone who was an employee of Cosmopolitan magazine back in the day.
I think we did an episode,
and a part of the original feminist movement. And I was talking to a female coworker of mine about the feminist movement now and then, because she was talking about how she had some negative things to say about the feminist party and all of that. And I agreed to what she was saying, but I was, talking about what it was originally comprised of and why most women of that time were on board. And so when she's saying this now, it's like, what is in danger? What happens, especially unfortunately with the Black Lives Movement as well, people create, when they have an agenda and a propaganda, they create a emergency to make people get on board.
Or they use an emergency. Both.
Yes, or use an emergency to get people to come on board, when in fact, if it wasn't it doesn't need to be a movement, so to speak. Like, when you're looking at things like that, it's just not. Yeah, let's just finish playing this. See what we're gonna come up with here.
Okay, all right. I thought you was on a roll. Going with that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right.
What do you think happens for Black women when this type of siege is at play and we don't feel we have anyone to protect us?
Right. Well, the first thing I think we do is we go into anger. We go into anger without a clear ask. Doesn't make sense to be angry unless you've got to ask. What is it that you're asking for? People can say anything in the world, but that doesn't mean that they get a right to do it. It doesn't mean that they get a right to affect you. But because so many of us are programmed and conditioned and educated to think like men, we respond like men. And when I mean men, I don't mean two-legged beasts. I mean in the masculine energy, and it becomes competitive, it becomes aggressive, it becomes againstness. And that's not who we are as women. It just isn't. And I think for Black women, particularly for us, the way that we've been programmed and conditioned and educated in the society to expect less, to accept less, to be angry and to complain, but to not really step into our authentic self, our authentic power as women, and create what we want, even if that's create the demand. Oh no, not here, not today.
Okay, I hear you articulating, Ayanla, this masculine energy traits, the competitiveness, the assertiveness. Tell me how you would frame feminine traits. Aggressive. Okay.
Grace.
Aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive, not assertive. It's okay for a woman to be assertive. Grace, first of all. I think we've lost our grace. We move in such a harsh and hard way. Grace, compassion, nurturing, nourishing,
She's
elegance.
brewing.
How about majesty? How about
She looks like she's brewing, like she's like steaming.
Okay.
Like she's touching, like Iyanla. I feel like she's just verbalizing how she feels a response to that question. But Miss Williams looks like she's getting every landmine is just being dropped on her. Like it feels. I would be one to bet that we're probably going into a conversation where she's gonna blow up or have she's gonna take a defensive approach over something that she's probably been told before.
Not here, but I get, yes, it is going to go to that eventually.
She may not even admit it, but these things she's saying, somebody has probably
you know it's in the body language. I ain't saying nothing.
It's the body language for me all day. Like everything is just kind of like steaming up in her, it's building up in her. But
okay.
Divinity. How about holiness? This is not a language you hear coming out of most women's mouths. Talk about being a boss, being a diva, being, in charge. And many of us are either not seated in our throne as queens, or we're in the throne and the crown is crooked. Meaning we're in the throne and we don't really know how to hold that place without the masculine aggressiveness and demanding and attachment. And it's killing us. It really is.
So in a recent interview with our dear friends over at the Breakfast Club, that went very viral for very good reason, you said that women are being trained to be men in skirts. I will acknowledge, I will say I was triggered. I was a hit dog, and I hollered to the entire production team to get you here today, because I actually think you're right. I think you're right, Ayanla. I do think that I'll just speak for myself vulnerably. When I think of a masculine posture and what I would expect a man to do in my life, two things come top of mind, and they are provide and they are protect. And when my lived experience, and I think I'm still relatively young, I guess, but I'm 40 in September. So, I've had some relationships. And I've yet to find a man who has shown, this includes even my father, who was absent. I've yet to have a male energy that provided or protected me consistently ever. So I think that I have taken on the reins to protect and provide for myself. Because what I'm not going to do, Ayanla, is be without. Baby, it's not happening.
Be without what?
So that
be
would
without what?
Be without protection, and be without the necessities of life.
I got a question to ask you because I want your honest opinion on this. Be without protection. What kind of protection do you think she was talking about?
From her body language and her demeanor, I will probably have to say financial.
Protection.
Yes.
Not protection, protection.
Most people are very materialistic in today's age.
Well, she said essentials.
I feel like it's probably financial.
Okay.
She may try to just skim over emotional and all of that, but she's probably looking at a financial standpoint, because what happened with materialistic women is that they'll go for financial protection, and once you get it, you still come up short, because most of us in the end still want some type of emotional connection with a person. Now, I don't know if she's gonna delve into this, but one thing that that came into my mind when she was talking about she never being able to witness, or she never seen that in a man, including her father, be a provider and a protector consistently. My question I would ask her is, I'm not trying to negate whether she has or hasn't seen that, but my question would be, do you believe it exists?
Okay.
Because even though you have not seen that, A, do you believe it exists? And B, do you still want that if you believe it exists? Because if you answer yes to yes, you believe it exists, then my question is, okay, as a woman who has made her own means and her own success in life, there's nothing wrong with that, but there becomes a balance where you have to live out if you want to still have protection and what was the other thing, protection and
She just said the essentials.
yeah, if you still want that at a man in your life for that, are you willing to allow yourself to make room for him?
Okay. All right.
Because what happens is that over time, a lot of women just get more bitter over not having that experience from a man. But then you still have to ask yourself, do you believe it exists? And if it does, are you willing to make room for that person to come into your life? Because if you're just continuously putting up the wall and the boundaries, you might have already met that person in it, and you've not even connected with the fact that that person is there. And you're so busy being guarded.
Yeah, I could say you opened my eyes to something totally different than what I thought.
I mean, even for us, I don't. My demeanor and my personality and my way of life is vastly different from hers. But for myself, especially in the culture of being small rural town, southern atmosphere, my mother got married when she was in her very early 20s. I got married at 36. So I got a lot of questions asked. Have you married yet? Are you looking at all that stuff? You kind of get that kind of like little tap on your shoulder. Like, are you just living for yourself? Do you want a man and that sort of thing? But for me, I was very conscious about keeping a mentality of, I'm gonna work on what I need to work on now as a single woman, but I still had a mindset to be someone's wife one day, because that's just something that I knew that I wanted. So for her, my question would be, if you still want a man, if you still want to be in a partnership with someone, do you truly believe that those type of men exist? And if they do, what type of partner are you thinking you're gonna be in connection with him? So some people just get wrapped up in the fantasy of it, and they don't really realize, am I making room for a physical person who could come into my life that's gonna be all that I say I want?
Okay. All right. Like I said, and I take it to heart what you say, because I never, that was a little bit, but I thought something different. So that's why I wanted your opinion
Mm-hmm.
on it, because I was thinking because she's gonna go a little bit more and talk about the protection, and I thought more like being protected from the outside and like more physical than like you said. You gave me that financial. I thought of it, but not as much as what you just said. So I didn't. I get what
mean,
you're saying there.
she may mean that, but to me, that's very surface. I mean, yes, a man is definitely, it should be an innate part of him to be a protector for sure.
Yeah.
I don't,
Not
that's
seeing
but
that. Seeing that.
but
Uh-huh.
I mean, unless she's like in the mob or something, like you're not looking for a bodyguard per se. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When
No,
I say protection, I'm talking about protector of where you're the head
Mhm,
as a man.
mhm.
That means that you are on the front line, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the front line could be something that is coming at your household physically
Okay.
for physical protection, but it can also be financial. It could be outside influences. It could be um, bad decision making. It could be, you name it. It could be cracks in the house that you start to notice. It could be when the car, when the
Okay.
tire in the car is low. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes,
And I'm not
no.
trying to be funny. That was a real
I'm
thing.
laughing because
That's
of just what you
and
said.
we're getting biblical, but that's why women are called to be the helpmate, because you're gonna see a lot of stuff as a man. You're supposed to see a lot of things coming at you. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, and you got to have that partner there to really bounce things off. Da da da. So when you say protection, yeah, I mean, if she's that surface, maybe she just means physical protection. But
No,
when I say protection, I'm talking about protection of your emotions. Like when we were listening to Judge Taller, and she was talking about how her husband could just be that like grounding part.
Mm,
You know, that's a protection
mm,
when you just protecting your spouse from themselves. When you're
okay. No,
so
I'm just saying you opened my eyes to more than what I
I
thought it
got
was,
you.
because I didn't thought of it
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean,
Because I know she has money. I know she has money. She's a lawyer. She has money. She can make money. That never put me to think that. I thought when she said protection, I thought about like having the covenant of a person, of a male protecting since she didn't have a father
yeah.
and didn't see
And that
that.
male presence there does hit different when you're living at home by yourself and you walk into an empty home versus you sharing a space with another human being and they happen to be a man, and you just feel that natural sense of comfort.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I just yeah. That's why I have her on the show, guys. So we can have a different perspective that she does and show. No, I'm serious. I did not think of it that way. I thought of it a different way. So that's just how I thought of it at the time. So thank you for showing me different in that.
But I say that with an invitation, Ayanla, check me. Show me the error of my ways. Tell me how I might be missing it, because I might be.
Okay. I too am an alpha woman. So I understand what that means. And I tell people all the time, I was a horrible mother. I was a horrible mother. I was a great father.
See, I have a problem with that. That's just, I don't agree
Well,
with that. I know what she's trying to say, but I don't. You can't. I
I get
don't.
what but yeah, I'm not pick. What she's saying is she's being transparent from one. I commend her.
No,
for
no,
that,
no. I
'cause
commend her
she-
for that.
That's
Yes.
one thing that I do celebrate about Iyanla is she uses her life as a learning tool.
Yeah.
But yes, that's what she's saying. You're a very literal person at times. So she's not literally trying to say she was a father. She's saying
And
that she was parenting from a masculine energy, which was in error because she subscribes to women operating in a female energy.
yes, at my thing was not the literal sense. It wasn't. Mine was like you can't. There's certain things. Okay, and you know this with your father. There's certain things dads do. And I'm not talking about emotion and everything. Does that
Right. A
that
woman, even in her describing that, she still will come up short from what an actual male father parenting. the child.
We ain't
For
gonna
sure.
we ain't gonna tell all our business tonight. But I'm just saying, even seeing, just seeing. No, I'm talking about
Oh, yeah.
seeing what your father is going through and talking about stuff.
My left eye's jumping now.
Sorry.
Basically, we're saying that adult parents don't stop parenting their children.
Yeah, that's one. But that the point is, I'm seeing like the stuff that the hoops he's jumping to create opportunities for something, and then don't get the gratification of, hey, thank you for doing this and
Yes,
that.
you're correct.
That part. But again, I'll let it go. I
saw a meme I saw a meme one day, and it was it was trying to be funny, lighthearted, and it says, men will work sun up to sundown, retire at a late age, just to have their grandkids say, "Hey, let's go to grandma's house." I honestly I get it, because I said the same thing. I love my grandpa to pieces. Him and my grandmother has celebrated 62 years this past Friday.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that language came from of just saying that, because they've been married for 62 years. So he's always been, my grandpa always been in the picture. But yes, I think that's just sometimes men, and Father's Day is coming up, so we definitely highlight that. But sometimes men do kind of get overlooked in a lot of cases,
including the black community, where
I would say more so in the black community.
Yeah, because of how the situation is. So, yeah.
What I'm annoyed with
I'm letting him
be
talk.
honest with you. I like Iana. I like what she's saying, but I'm annoyed with her in a way because this was her generation's idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that is true.
She told us, and
because she did. Like I said, if I had that clip of when she was going against Sister Cheryl Ozzy back in the early '80s and '90s, she is that one right there. Kira is 100% correct in that one. Because she was. If you have you seen her when she was back in those days when she was talking?
I remember. You showed me the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, but you don't know when she was talking. She was.
I didn't keep up with her then.
No, I know you won't because we were young. I didn't know either. But
Right.
when I see the clips and how she talked back then, and it shows, and I commend her growth.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm cool with Ayana. Like I said, you're not gonna agree with everybody 100%. We're not. Me and you, man, we don't agree 100%. Nobody's gonna agree with 100% with anything. But I do commend her growth. That's why I like to see how she is. And that's what Sister Cheryl did when they asked the question, hey, is it funny to see Ayana saying the stuff that you said back in the 80s? She's like, hey, they came after me. They said horrible stuff about me, but you know what? They learned. They understand what is going on. I wish they were on my side fighting this back in the 80s and 90s, but that's not what we was talked about.
Yeah.
She was this woman. Mm-hmm. And this generation of women told all of us
to be this.
Because just like that woman that's sitting next to her that wasn't raised with her father, neither was Iyanla, and neither were we. Yeah. And a lot of black women aren't raised with their father. And this is how because a lot of black women are oversexed and oversexualized. And we did our video on women voting. The reason why I said women shouldn't vote is because that was the beginning. Yeah. That was taking us and making us equal. Mm-hmm. And as long as we are trying to be equal, this will continue. Mm-hmm. Because we aren't the same as men. We never will be and never were. There is no such thing of a woman that actually leads.
Well, she says she's a bad mother, but a great father. Incorrect.
No, she wasn't. She was a bad mother.
That's incorrect too, Iyanla.
You provided for your kids because you were supposed to. Yeah. But the way that you raised them was wrong. Just say that. Don't call yourself a father to scapegoat for the fact that you were a bad mom. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, she's okay. So what Iyanla is saying is right. The masculinity in women's happening, femininity is getting suppressed. They're not doing the feminine thing anymore. Women are more alpha now. Okay, independent woman. All this crap to talk. But it is kind of annoying because it is her generation that started building women up to be this way, right?
She would be considered the glorious time
she really
they were the women that said
champion for that.
Screw civil rights.
Yeah,
we need to hang out with women's liberation. Yeah, and so when I see women like this, I'm glad she's saying it. I'm not saying you know what I mean. But
let's talk about the whole thing.
But let's talk about the whole thing. Yeah. You know what I mean. And the truth is that women should never been allowed to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was just a beginning
Mm-hmm.
of where we are today.
Yeah.
It's not that this girl is a bad woman. It's that she was raised to be this way. I have
And I think
compassion.
that
Yeah.
is
for
pretty extreme.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying to make some type of outlandish point.
No, and that's why I said what I said at the beginning when I said I don't agree with
But
everything.
not allowed to vote. No.
They're gonna explain it out more.
I'm sure they will, but
Yeah.
even still,
I
couldn't feel comfortable leading with that. And this is after you just heard me say that I agree with biblical
They'll
platforms
get there too. Yeah.
of a head and a helpmate, but from a social and economical and just civil standpoint, yes, women should be allowed to vote.
No, I have
and I don't feel like that. I mean, people take things too far, and the pendulum they'll swing completely too far the other way.
Yeah,
yes,
that's just
but
where
I
was
think the
going.
voting should have been the inevitable future of women leading up to now. Everybody who's legal, a citizen should have the right to vote. Period. So yeah.
No, I understand where you're coming from. That's why I said that's why I put the pre-emphasis up front of saying what it is because I know they want to say that. I know when they say that, but just people might take it as is, and you can go to that comment section and talk about. I'm just saying I know what they're gonna what was gonna come. So that's why pre-amplify said we don't agree with anything 100%. Blah blah blah.
Gotcha.
That's why I did that.
Right.
of today, modern women, the one that men dog all the time. I have compassion
Yeah.
for those women because those women are us.
Mhm.
Those women are the women that since grade school have
Mm-hmm.
been told they don't need a man, they can go to work. They've been told that in middle school.
Mhm.
They've been told that in high school. They get told that when they go to college. They get told that when they listen to their music. They get told this when they look at a commercial. They get told that when they see Hillary Clinton talk.
Mhm.
They get told that when they hear Oprah Winfrey talk. They get told that all the time. And then people get all weirded out when women then say, I don't need a man. Well, that's how it was supposed to be.
Right.
This was the agenda.
Well, yeah, this was the grooming. The grooming, the grooming of women is what. This is why
Mhm.
she's ending up being this way. And what Ebony was saying about, she didn't have a father, so she doesn't know the example. So this is a almost a broken record textbook. Every woman pretty much across the map that is in this position of being masculine or single and older, right? It's kind of like textbook. You didn't have a example. You didn't have a father. You only had feminine energy. The feminine energy you had, she had to be masculine because she had to take care of you. So you were only given that.
Right.
You were only given that. So the conversation is about broken homes.
Yeah.
This is what this conversation
By
is
the
really
way,
about.
the show Sex and the City were all for white women.
Yeah.
So I'm not picking on black women. What I'm saying is this is going to happen to all women.
It's all women.
The
yeah.
reason why
American
the
women
reason why we're
specifically.
picked on the most is because our single mother rate is at 74%. It's the highest underneath I think Native Americans, which is 80.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the
Wow.
reason why this happens to us quicker is because we don't have fathers in our lives.
Mhm.
And this is all these women. None of them have, her, the other woman,
yeah.
us. I know lots of black women that don't have fathers. You know what I mean? So once you have generations of fatherless homes, you also have black men who are okay with women working. They're okay with women leading homes.
yeah.
They're okay with all that because they were raised by a single
Also
mother.
too, what happens when you don't have the example, when you're not raised like that, you're only raised around this like dominant feminine energy, is that the one thing happens, you learn late. That's it. You learn late. And, so this is why she's talking at 40. She's talking like this, right?
What she's mad at is that she did everything they told her
Right,
to
no.
do, and then they lied to her.
Right.
You understand? Like that's what I'm saying.
why we keep
Women
saying
have been bamboozled, and it's because of this generation and the generation of the small generation of women before that was fighting for suffrage.
Yeah.
That should have never happened, because women are not supposed to be leaders.
Now, when you become an adult, so the next thing will be when you become an adult, you can't play the blame game all the time. At some point, you have to kind of get the
And I
you have to get the
disagree with
hint,
that.
okay? Like your
I feel like I was in church this was a 1 year doing it was a Father's Day program, and this was a, just to paint the picture for you guys out there, this was a rural Baptist church, very old school traditional setting, and it was my home church, and I heard the guest speaker, and he was very old school type of guy, and he was preaching, and one of the things that he said is, and we need to get more men back leading. That's why we have so many women preachers coming up today, because there's too many male, too many men out there who just want to take the back seat and who don't want to stand up. And there were so many women who got up and started clapping. And I was very, I may have been maybe 22, 23. And it was the first time I had really heard that type of language. And I took it in and I just kind of digested it and processed it. And I was like, he's got a point. And to that I say, from all standpoints of history, whether it's biblical, whether you see it just straight up political, there have been women leaders. There have been women leaders who have been competent.
Yeah.
To say to try to make it sound like the female species is not competent to lead, that's inaccurate. But what I think that they're trying to allude to, and what I feel like this preacher was saying, is that in a lot of cases, there are women who step up to lead because there were men who dropped the ball.
Okay.
That's what I see.
I have a question. So, to what you're saying there, that how they dropped the ball, and this was a predominantly black church.
Yes.
So, my question would be, okay, they stepped up. You see, my thing with the fatherhood issue in Black America, I've talked to you about this before, and we have a conversation about it. And my thing is this: most women would raise their daughters to be strong, independent, and do by themselves, and then they would still baby their sons. So the sons would never have that drive to be what it is. A lot of sons get demasculated in these single homes.
That is very true, but we have to break the wheel, because in your scenario, where it's the father.
In my scenario, it depends on what happens to the father.
Correct.
I can't say that because
right.
I've said.
But you're correct.
I have proven.
Just saying that the father, but the lack of the presence of the father being there, the scenario you painted, yes, that does typically play
let me
out.
add a caveat to it. If the fathers, again, I do not stand up for guys who really did not want to be and had a child and just left the woman destitute. I am not for that. Never have, never will be. Okay? And as my journey of learning more stuff from 20s to now, and have the conversation with you, so if the fathers didn't do nothing and follow the cycle, like they were saying, the cycle of that, yes, you still have to take control of. Hey, like me, I'm mostly raised by a single mom and more women, but I still wanted to break the cycle. I made the choice to do something different and not do that. So it's still on the person. I don't blame the mother, because in that regard of that, but it still is that, hey, that's what they did. And think about it. That's what, and the most important part is, and I'm sorry to say this, but that's because I'm seeing this more and more. That's always cycle. That's what white leftist women did, so they could break up the family. Because the black family and black women was more together, more whole, run more business capable, whatever, by themselves. Because the reason I said, because Sister Cheryl Ozzie said it the best. She said they wanted more people to be marching with whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they incorporated black women in it and said, "Hey, come on, we need more. We need a bigger stand, we need whatever." Sister Sarah Ozzie said that was never our fight,
right? And I'm guessing that this timeline that you're talking about is going in sync with like Susan Williams and the
Yes.
subverted truth.
Yeah.
And I can so see that playing out because there was a bigger agenda at large.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because
Especially
remember the lady who cosmetologist when she said, "Oh, I could do this," and her husband, what did Susan said? When she said, "Oh, you could go out and have sex and all that stuff," but if my husband cheat,
right,
different story. You go
Right.
ahead, cheat, go with multiple men,
Right.
have all this thing, but my man ain't gonna do that. It's kind of weird to preach that.
Yeah. You can see how so politicized they had made it because that's what you do in politics is you try to push this agenda, but you don't want the agenda to affect you. You just want it to go forth so you can get your benefits from it.
Yeah. I mean, that's politics, and that's just human nature of saying that you want. In my house, like I said, it's my human nature to be libertarian with most things outside of my house that doesn't bother my family. When it comes to you, my sister, kids, anything that I know that thing, I'm super conservative, bro, because I'm protective of you. I'm protective of anybody that's under my jurisdiction or everything. So our kids, of course, but say like your niece, nephew, they come and whatever they come, and we gotta take. Say they came in for the day, and we go out for something, or if we like we're doing a family trip to someone, yeah, I'm gonna be protective of them too, cause that's my tribe.
Yeah.
That is my tribe. That's what I'm gonna be. So yeah, when y'all say stuff, I'm gonna be conservative to this. So
well, that goes to we just talking about that. That's an innate attribute to you as a man, too.
yeah, and I'm just saying, but it is. But here's the thing. Nobody had the biggest flip of the father to mother marriage, and the household parent and everything, more than black people. The Native Americans different because of how their setup is, which is a little more difficult, and they're more. It's the same thing like black people. To the difference, there's more women to men situation with them. So that's why that. But they have government help and all that other stuff that that's guaranteed. We are not guaranteed. Me and you, like I said, now we can have a kid. You could dump me. You could divorce me, whatever. You will get welfare, but I don't think that's a lifestyle. That's persistent a lot, and that's the problem with a lot of women that does that. Sadly enough, in the Native Americans, they're guaranteed because that's what they did and have that. But they gotta be still. The sad part about it, they still because I know a couple of Native Americans. One of them I know. She said she who also saying that she got the grape word and stuff back in her tribe and stuff, and she didn't like it. She didn't want to do whatever because they know the males have the power, so they will use the power badly. That's another topic, but that's just again that's just a difference. But we went from the highest wedlock, children within the wedlock. If anybody never noticed this, you could go check this out. Check this out. This have been verified. There were 2 women on the bus when Rosa Parks when it happened with Rosa Parks when she drove back to the bus. There were 2 women on the bus, but so the other woman could have been used too. You know one reason why she was not used?
No.
She had a child out of wedlock. She was tainted.
Wow.
So they didn't want to use her. They used Rosa Parks. That's the only reason they used Rosa Parks. There was 2 women on that bus, and you would think the pregnant woman there would be more to go to work, but when they found out that her child was she wasn't married and she didn't think, they did not use her as the spot. You will go verify because I went like multiple things.
But that also shows you the conservatism of the blacks in that time too. And then fast forward to now, where it's almost celebrated to just
we don't
do
want.
what you
Remember the
do.
video we were listening
have
to?
A kid or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
Shame. Shame. It's not there no more. Yes,
and it's no shame to the woman. We don't know her situation, but it just shows you it's a very telling move they made in themselves. Can we skip to?
Yeah.
Let's skip. I want to hear the actual interview with Iyanla.
Okay. I'll skip to the interview with Iyanla's part then.
People in general.
It's true.
I was a horrible mother because I'd never been mothered. So I didn't know how to affirm, how to nurture, how to nourish, how to guide.
And same thing too. Ayala also was her. She didn't have her father, so the
Yeah.
cycle was repeated,
Correct.
repeated over.
Correct.
I knew how to direct, how to demand, how to discipline, and like you said, provide and protect. Those are masculine energies. And the distinction here is men build, women create. So we know how to build. We know how to get to the external and get the work done and drive and push and do it. We don't know how to be still, create it, and allow it to come to us. And I learned that when I lost everything. I learned how to create because I had already built and it all crumbled. The house, the husband, the job, the contracts, the professional career in the world, stripped of it all the attachments, the necessities of life, the creature comforts, until I was stripped down to the bare bone. And then I had to learn how not to build. Build is external. Create is internal. And we as women have the power to create and attract anything we desire. But we don't get still. We won't shut up. And we manage everything through fear, control, and survival, as opposed to feeling, knowing, and blooming or flourishing. Complete different thing. But since we've never been trained, we haven't been trained, we haven't been taught. So we do it the way we were taught to do it, which is very masculine in nature.
And very external. I feel that you are describing me to a T, Mr. Yanla. Now, is this why you are conducting a rites of passage program so that women, all of Black women in particular, can learn to create?
Women, so that we can learn our authentic power, that we can learn the distinction between a powerful woman and a woman in her power. There's a distinction, but there are skills and tools and practices and processes that we have to learn at every age. The 20s have a process, the 30s have a process, the 40s have a 50, 60. We each have a process. And if you don't learn your 20 process, you're going to be doing it at 50. If you don't complete your 30 process, you're going to be doing it at 60. And that means you'll be running on overdrive instead of seated in your power. Yes. And the secrets are there. They come from our culture. They come from our history, but no one has taught us. So me, as a descendant of Africans and Native Americans, I have a very lovely blend and mix. And I just, for a long time, I didn't do it because women in general, they don't want to hear. They think their way is right. And I'm crazy when I say sit down, shut up, and listen, and you can create what you want. They don't want to hear that.
Well, I want to hear it. So tell me when the sign up is. I don't want to miss it. Let me know when you're taking registrations because I am curious. I had a very lovely single Black mother, and I'm going to get to the statistics on single Black motherhood and family life. But she was, by definition, more of a father figure in terms of providing and protecting. And I think that's very common. So according to the U.S. Census, Iyanla, 23% of households in the country are single-parent households, and we know 80% of them are led by women. How does this affect the child? Both little girls, little boys, non-binary children. How does?
I didn't like what she said. I didn't when I heard that part. I was like, really? That affects everything too.
Yeah, exactly.
Non-binary. That affects when you don't have the father in there. It's have that too. That part right there. But yes, what it is.
Does that frame their expectation of women?
You have to give the little code signal just to make them feel a part of it, which is not needed.
Right.
It is not needed.
Yeah.
But so my thing, as she just said right there, is like, okay, so for me, when I hearing her say there, because she's saying, sit down, stop, be still, be quiet, and stuff like that. And it's not that, well, I bless a lot of women out, black, we're just talking about Black women. I bless a lot of Black women out there who work hard and get to their points, whatever. And I understand 100% too, because Black guys to a certain degree does this. Not all, but Black guys, you don't want to let your guard down just for anybody, which is, you really should not be in any case.
Yeah.
I get that. You don't want to let your guard down for anybody. Being vulnerable is something. But also, it's a part of growing up. If you don't have that to say, okay, I learned this and I didn't, and it hurt and stuff like that, you ain't gonna learn from some things. You know my story. There's some things happened to
Yeah.
me that I was like, wow. And yeah, I was vulnerable and it was hard. And even to you, which was unfair to you, just being honest, unfair to you. There was some parts of me that was shielded up because of just my past.
Well, yeah. I mean, realistically, yes, yes, you're correct. But I will say that's just become the norm to a certain extent,
No, and that's what I meant.
especially
Yeah.
when you meet people with anybody. Doesn't even have to be a certain age anymore. But to what Iyanla was saying, I feel like what I took to that is she's trying to give a very broad view of just being raised under a woman. Like if when you come out of a nucleus household and hopefully both people have emotional and mental and spiritual stability,
Mhm.
you don't have to sit there with a pen and paper and learn that way how to be a woman,
That's
how
it.
to be a man.
That's it.
From observing, that is so powerful. And that's something that I took to heart from my mother. I watched when she was still. I watched how she kept her peace. I watched how she expressed her opinions. And those things are powerful. And being in a nucleus household, and I got to see that, yes, I can sit back now when I see a lot of scenarios being played out and a lot of people talking about their life differing when they grew up in a single parent household. I see now how powerful that was, um, to have that. And I
Mm.
think that's basically what Iyanla is saying, because is because the rate of single parenthood is so high. So you do have that lack of display of woman to young woman, how to harness yourself, how to carry yourself, because they're being stretched in, so they're not able to show that correctly. So this generational cycle just
Yeah.
continues on.
But and I also, and we don't. I do have that video, but you saw a piece of it because I showed it to you. The one where these young girls back in the '70s when they were that was at the beginning of the whole thing, whatever. But even that, like like the girls, the sisters were saying too, they showed them because remember the guy went around the room and said, "Hey, do you want to have a father?" And they were the father of your child, blah blah blah, and they were like, "No, I don't need." They were saying that at that teenage years, they were teenage mothers, and
And
they
they
was
were they were probably inner city.
yeah. You remember the video? It was the old video when we watched it a while back, so I understand. But it's just it was the older
I
video.
remember.
Yeah, and he was asking, "Do any of y'all want to get married?" And all of them were like, except
I
for one
remember.
girl, she's like, "No, I don't want
I
to get
think
married."
was it 70s or 80s? It was
'70s? No, it
70s.
was '70s.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was the '70s.
Okay.
That's what it is. I have that video saved up for in case. So
Gotcha.
yeah, but maybe we could do a video about that too. I'm just saying, yeah.
Yes.
But that one, but it was a bunch of kids,
Mhm.
and then you see some, and then we're talking about the kids. Some of the no men is it our pickers were messed up in that age year too.
Men's pickers are still messed up, but
Huh?
okay.
I said our pickers.
Your picker. You talking about men's pickers?
Pick like women and men, both our pickers, because there's some women who will pick thugs and stuff. Like,
Correct.
why would do that? And guys will pick the good guy, not the will pick damaged women
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and try
Yeah.
to be that, and then you still get messed up, whatever.
Correct.
Our pickers, well, just
Yeah,
not
and
good.
I said they still are.
Yeah, no,
That's what I'm
okay. Yeah,
saying.
no, they are. They still are. We see it
Okay.
evidence to this
Yeah.
day. Because again, the rate has not dropped down at all.
Gotcha. Well,
So
let's get on to. I want to see. I want to get to. I don't want to skip Stir, but I do want to get into the meat of, I guess, what you're wanting me to
no,
hear.
wait, no, don't want to begin there. I'm doing it again. I just want to play the part where she says what everybody was talking about and get to the
Yeah.
meat, the part where you say why I have a disagree with. Where was it? I just had it set up.
JDs, MD, PhDs. We also are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men
Yes.
in 22
Yes.
of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, DC, LA, you name it.
In 22 cities out of a lot of cities. The statistics I have a problem when she was listing off. Quoting one when she was saying that, yeah, and also, sadly, y'all have the biggest debt. 75% of the debt in America is women. 75, not debt. But
That's
and also the degrees that you got, and you've seen, I've did show videos about this. Most of the degrees are not degrees that make money. So, but I'll let it go. I just gonna let it slide.
When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Before she asks the question, which is that, I get, and me and you talked about this in the show the last year you were on. I said, I get that because it's basically the real number is 17 to 1. But when you think about the kids with the guys who are drug dealers, just help them, whatever, then it's like 70 to 1.
Right.
So I get that point of finding that guy who's responsible, who will do the stuff. So I don't debate women for that. But you still have to make sure that, this is my opinion, just speaking out just right now before we get into this. I think a little bit to Ayana, is that you have to be in your own divinity of thinking, is this guy right for me or not?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't want to pick this guy just because he's black. Because a lot of black women want black men.
And she said she's tried them all. I guess alluding to
her last fiance was a white guy. Yeah, I know.
Right.
So,
and okay, that's good for her. And I mean, and what if you can be if you're watching it, you can be white and prefer white men. There's some ignorant people who will say that's racist. How is that racist if a black woman prefers black men? You prefer what you prefer.
Your preference.
But yes, when we see a ratio of more women in areas and atmospheres, it does kind of limit our dating pool a lot.
Yes.
When you date a certain race, and I get it if you have a certain preference, we typically do. So it can open up the door a little bit more for you if you're open to dating someone outside of your race. And honestly, there was a time I didn't think I would say that. And I have a very close white friends, and I know they have their preferences, and that's and all of that is great. But I say that now because the pickings are slim. So look inward, be very honest with what you want, and doing that journey of who you are, who you are as an individual, and from that, when you truly know who you are, I think you can maybe be a little bit more comfortable dating outside of your race. I think some people are uncomfortable, and I know this is going to change, but I think some people are uncomfortable dating outside of their race because they feel like it dilutes their own ethnicity to a certain extent. But when you know who you are and you're very comfortable in your own skin, it doesn't. And if that turns out to be somebody who's very compatible and with you, and you guys are in an alignment, then ultimately, then that's just gonna solidify you. So, but yeah.
Okay, and like I said, that's just so I do feel for the women in that regard to go through all that and try to find whatever. And that's why I said in the last video we did, I said it's funny, the number's 1 to 17, but it's like 1 to 70 because of just, again, we have a lot of these young idiots going around shooting up, killing, destroying their own communities and everything. Like the guy who just a quick jump, sorry, but the guy that got strangled on the train, and yeah, he should have never got killed. It happened. It was accident, but he was threatening people. He was going around doing stuff. And the funny how the pictures were cropped with a white guy, but it was two other black guys,
two other black men also
holding him down.
This man down.
So he should have not died. That's not that's not what I'm saying. He should have not died because that's an unfortunate death. The problem as well too, he had 40 felonies, and he was with 5 years ago, whatever. He cracked the elderly woman in her face and broke her like what's the like her nose bridge, and what these bones, like I don't know because she more medical than me, but like hair was all cracked, and it was a black woman he hit, and he was supposed to go to jail, but he was back out within 4 months. They said he was mentally messed up. That's the problem. He was mentally ill.
Right, but that shows you just how dangerous he was. People are trying to make it sound like this was just an innocent situation. Though these people did detect danger, and they were just trying to contain it.
Yeah. And my point is, that's a black man, so no one would want to go with that unless he was mentally ill to see that. So that's my point. The pickings is slim, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And that leads into this. So this was a comment, as you just read right there. That was a comment that went. This is the one that went viral.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
So she looked down like that.
That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. So I think some of the criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalance. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved.
This whole bus driver thing.
So that's the comment. I'm gonna skip the one part and then we're done. But that's what went viral. That's what everybody.
Correct. And I will, just to play advocate a little bit. I get it. This is a very, very successful woman. She was put on the spot initially. She was being honest. I commend her for that by not saying yes, I would date a bus driver. But to what Iyanla was trying to say, her point was, and many women do this, and many women who don't even have maybe the caliber and the portfolio that she has, and that's something we've talked about. They do this. Oh, he has to make this amount of money. He has to be this, that, and third. But you want the standard on the man, but it's like, okay, and what are you bringing? And I'm not even talking about just financial. Like, who are you to this? And I'm trying to avoid that phrase. I can't avoid it. What are you bringing to the table? It's a very relevant phrase to use right now.
No, we're not talking about things, but yeah, that's cool for you.
And I'm saying that because you can have somebody who is not in debt, who has a healthy credit score, who has their own home, who has goals and aspirations that they're aspiring to, and has a retirement plan, and they may not be making six figures, or they may not have that flashy car that you want, and they can still show up and be the man that you want. So she's limiting. It's what Iyanla, I think, is trying to do, is say you're limiting yourself in your search. You know.
Yeah. So and like you were going with what my wife just said. I iterate it before you see the one on the screen right now. I don't have a problem with she saying if he was like saying that. That was never my problem. I never thought, oh, she uppity whatever. That's her preference.
Right.
That's what she want. Everybody has a preference.
Everybody has a
So
preference.
I don't care about that.
Like I said, it was an honest response. I wasn't expecting her to
Yeah.
say.
I'd rather not she lied or nothing and try to
Right.
just insult my intelligence, because that's the one thing I hate. I hate when people try to insult my
Yeah.
intelligence. So I get that. But she didn't, a lot of people took it to offense, did videos, and now she responded. And that's where, in my opinion, I do have a little thing to say. So I want you to bounce me off, because again,
Okay.
yeah. So this is the response she did.
This time, Eboni came around the second time on her show to clarify her comments.
So let me be clear. First, I am a professional disruptor. So backlash is my business. And I will always take it on the chin for the sake of advancing the work, conversation, or movement. So know that I am completely unfazed by the onslaught of nasty comments, wishing me a sad, lonely, bitter existence until my untimely death. Now, that is some weird energy to be wishing onto a black woman, especially one who has dedicated her life to the liberation of black folk. But, you know, whatever. I guess go off.
Eboni, interracial dating is not the liberation of black folk. Just stop
Yeah,
it.
that's her last.
So I'm standing 10 toes down on that position, and I don't really care if you're hurt or offended by it. And since some of y'all are already big mad, let me go ahead and make you incensed. So out of the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of black men when I said what I said.
You wasn't doing that. Take your preference. I was good with just
Right.
take your preference.
You're
now
right.
you're trying. Now
Backpedal.
you're going. Now you're going beyond it. But
Yeah.
okay. That wasn't that. That didn't. I was like, okay. Again, doesn't bother me.
Eboni, you're not pouring nothing but a tall glass of misandry. But thank you for admitting that your comments that you made, they weren't towards every man like you try to make it seem. It was really towards black men.
But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm going to say one more time, there's absolutely nothing wrong with driving a bus. My mother Gloria drove one for years.
Hyundai Kona.
Is somebody, she wrote out this statement? Good
Hey.
Lord, it's like good gracious.
Again, and here's the funny again. Bill Gates was not no A student. He was a C and D
Correct. That's what I'm
student.
like, sweetheart, there are many successful
C's and D's.
entrepreneurs. Exactly. That's what I was like. But it just shows she's got a narrow mind, you know. She's got a narrow
This,
mind.
but like I said, that kind of like really, and then of course I gotta finish it because as I said, sorry.
Of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us. Well, see, that's called white supremacy. And in this case, it takes the form of conditioning black Americans to happily accept being a permanent American underclass. But see, because I know the truth about black folk in America, no, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
She's saying that that's a form of white supremacy to be average?
Yes.
Does she not realize that most Americans are this standard of average that she's presenting, not just blacks?
But funny part about it is, women like her with her stats, whatever, they always get this average result because of what they keep on saying.
Right.
So again, I have no problem with her saying that she don't want to be a bus driver. That's not my problem. I never had a problem with that. I thank the Lord that I'm blessed that I have the job that I have. I have traveled and do many things. That's on the mighty above, and I thank Him for that. But I would think that my character is what would attract, which attracts you to me and me
Yes.
saying it to you.
Oh my lordy.
So that kind of that, and then of course to bring the whole white supremacy thing into it, I don't know where it came from, and that's why Pink Book said that, because her last ex fiance, they were supposed to get married, they didn't get married, was a white guy. So if you try to say I'm with a black man, but then you go with a, what sense
And
does
that's your prerogative, but like,
yeah?
you're sounding very double-minded right now. Like,
Thank you. And that was the problem. People, that's me with the problem. I was like, really, lady, stop this. Stop. This is not helping nobody.
No.
It's not. And you're trying to say, oh, I'm going to, again, I don't know. Here's the thing. I am not scared because they went further in the conversation after that part of the thing. I have no problem. People go, like, people, I don't know why this generation and back have this problem that the younger have a problem being average. That's why we're doing all this crazy stuff that getting us kill and be linked. I have no problem being an average guy. Don't bother me at all. Why? Because I'm me. There's only one me. God made only me. So I'm good with being me. Now, do I go to the toilet and pee like the millions of other men out there? Yes, so that makes me average. Doesn't it? I'm just saying. I'm like I don't do any. I put on one pants at a time. That makes me average. I don't care for that.
It's the fantasy they're romanticizing, and in their own way, as diluted as it is. I mean, I would love to see a matchmaker with her.
Oh no! Remember, a lot of matchmakers would say
they would send her away. They wouldn't take her on.
They wouldn't take her on. You're right. They wouldn't, because they would say that's a trouble. A lot of the female matchmakers, that's what they're saying. They said that. Remember, we watched that one with the other lady who's a Christian, and she ended up to the 50s. Other women talking about they want a lot of female matchmakers, including black women, have said you're bossy, you're this, you're that. A lot of men don't want that, blah, blah, blah. They've said that. And they quit this situation like that. And again, I have no problem if I have high expectations of you and you want to get, okay? I have nothing against that. But I do think that we have gone to a point that we choose status over security. We choose being out there well known than just being, hey, you pass whatever.
Right.
Like I told my wife, like when I did my band with Locomotion, doing the music and stuff, I started literally, my band started a genre in soca with the whole trance and everything with Party Zone, which went platinum and had all that stuff. But you go to Wikipedia, is anybody going to credit my band for that? No, they're not. And I'm all right with it. I'm not like, I say, but I'm not like, oh, and I'm not going to, no, it happened. We made money off it. Thank God it did, so I could pay bills and do stuff. Thank the Lord for that. But it is what it is. I'm average. I'm not out there going to do certain things, whatever. And that's the men's side and the women's side, both sides. Because once they introduce these devices to us, and I'm not saying I'm not a slave to this device a little bit. I am. I'm not going to lie to nobody out there. But I don't go cloud chasing. I don't go and say, hey, this is what I do. Hey, this is what I got to be, whatever, and all that stuff. I didn't do that to get you. No. I didn't do that because later on when we was engaged, and my wife didn't know that, even engaged, she's like, oh, you did that song, you helped with that song and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even after we've gotten married, I feel like there's still stuff that I'm discovering that you did. And it's a big deal, but not, you don't make it a big deal. Just, it's just a part of you. But, and I don't attribute that to being average qualities about a person. Like,
no, I get person, that.
But nonetheless, you just carry yourself like yourself. You just, I think maybe she may just need a dose of humility. Maybe that could be.
Well, another thing is, and I've said this, I think I've said this to you. If I didn't, I can't. People have asked me this. Remember, I've talked to. I remember one time when I was doing a show in St. Kitts with Busta Rhymes and stuff. We were talking about music and everything, and I was like, "Would I want to be famous or just rich?" They give a choice.
Yeah.
I'll take the money. I don't want to be famous. I do not want to be famous. If you give me a buttload of money, I would love to have my secluded island in an island in the Caribbean somewhere. Nobody bothers me, off the grid phone, the whole 9 yards. I will gladly do that instead to be famous and be known all over the world and people just like, oh, it's you. And I don't need that. I don't want that. That's just me. I just don't care for that. I'd rather have my own secluded, secret life, be by myself, and not do that. Because another a small example to that is like when we go to church. Now the what do you call it,
Worship leader.
the worship leaders then will want me to sing because of course I sing the music and everything and all that stuff. Now, like I said, they want there's people around me who want me to be in the worship leader thing. I'm not gonna say not leader stuff, but the people around me because they're like, oh, you sing good, you sing good, you sing good, you make my sing bad, blah blah blah. My wife has heard it. I'm doing it because I enjoy singing and I'm doing it because I'm in church praising. That's, you know that. I'm not doing it to make nobody feel bad.
Right.
I'm not doing it to be nothing, whatever. I like just to be. I'm more of us like to be myself. There's some of my friends who asked, and you don't know about these, but asked and said, the way you live your life, how the heck you find a wife? Because I like to be by myself so much.
Well, that's a good question.
But I get it. I get it. I just don't whatever. But to the bigger notion of what we was talking about with Ebony and all that stuff like that. Again, I have no problem with her preference. That's her preference. That's her right. That's what she living. That's okay. If she want to talk. Sometimes what do you always hear? 6 foot tall, 6 figures, all that stuff. They have the right to choose that. Are they gonna get it? I don't think so. But they have the right to choose what they want. That's not my thing. My wife, you said you wanted you wanted a guy who's taller than you, which I am, but and you're not a short person for average woman either.
I mean,
No, you're not. I'm most like I said, I've taken out of my life. I've dated. Technically speaking, you are the tallest person I've dated. Everybody's like 5'6", 5'5", and stuff like that. So, but everybody has my point is everybody have a preference to it. So
Right.
I am not going to ever knock a person unless it's super delusional. Like when
Yeah.
woman said, "I want a man that makes $500,000 a year," that's less than 1% of Americans in America. So that's stupid to me. 10% of people makes over $100,000 in America. The percentage. So you're not $500,000,
Right.
$1 million. You're crazy. You're just crazy. That's a different story. But you have a preference. You want to do that? All right. Not gonna knock a person. Not gonna bash a person for that. But when she came out with a condescending the clip that you just saw right now that I just played,
Yeah.
that's where it. Like I said, it was offensive.
Yeah, she's really dug her hole there, and it is offensive in many ways. She really.
I don't
And
know.
it was ignorant.
Yeah, Ayala never talked about white people. We're talking about black people and the white supremacy. Like, where did all that came from? That's all I was. That's all I'm talking about there. And of course, usual. They have people like agree with her. And again, that's crazy. Some of y'all go whatever, but I think, and I agree with Ayala. That was supposed. What Ayala was talking is her growth as well too, because I listened to a lot of Ayala older stuff. That's why actually, if you listen to her when she was younger, and I remember when she said when she went to the welfare and stuff, and this woman was talking about another woman, what Ayala thought was talking about her, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to be like this no more in my life," because she was on welfare. She didn't have before she had a husband. She had a child before, living off welfare and in ghettos, all that stuff, whatever. And when And and when she heard what the other lady said, which was disparaging to the woman, not Ayana, but she thought she was talking about her.
Right. It gave her just
She said, "I gotta go to college. I cannot sit here on my butt, not do nothing, or whatever." And it forced her to get her degree. Because Ayana she was a lawyer. She had to be a lawyer and everything. So my point is, again, she speaks where she speaks. It's all cool, but I do like her growth, and I think that's what she's trying to do. Because again, she was trying to do that with her show, but when people keep on attacking her for her hair, her stuff, just mess it. That's why she went into private mode, into a private business instead of being on the TV show anymore like that.
And I missed the show. I was one of the people who tuned in quite often, but yeah.
It's after a lot of time that dog barking does get irritating. You could knock it down. It's just a little dog, whatever. But after a while, it would get irritating. So I understand that, and I wish you the best aspects in her doing her stuff. Of course, Ayana, and she's done interviews with certain people. She's done one with another lady I know, and that one interview went whatever, and she said the exact same. The thing about it is, she didn't say nothing different with that one, and that lady was not whatever, but she was like talking about how the black women are looking for, putting themselves on Instagram, be super sexualized, doing stuff, and then you being super sexualized, but then still want to tell the people who are you being objective to that you shouldn't look at you that way. Again, I can't look at an apple and call it an orange. Sorry, it just don't work that way. It just doesn't. So I agree with Ayana. God bless me as well, Sister Shazia as well. Took it again. I wish I had that video where the two was going back and she put in like stuff. And like I said, Sister Shazia said, yeah, it's funny how they come around now. I was saying this back in the 80s, and these were my kind of like what the sisters were saying at that generation. Ayana said those were my Shazia Ali said those were my biggest detractors. Most were black women who had positions and power. Could have helped me get this better,
right?
But they fought against me every single time. I went on Donahue, Phil Donahue, Raphael. You know those talk shows back then.
Yeah.
And it happened. So again, we'll talk more about this. I just wanted my wife to hear it and see what it is and save them. And last time I checked, we were at like 32,000 people watching. Thank you all for giving your time, your ears for us, of course. And my point of saying, I wanted, like I said, to explain, because she explained some stuff that even I was like looking differently because I'm a dude. And I think that's the way God made us anyway. We look at things differently because of what we are. In general, I think women are more emotionally intelligent than guys, just in general.
I would agree.
And just men are more logical than women. But that's each other's strengths, though. Yeah. And that's why he made Adam and Eve. That's why he said, "Here's a woman to be your helpmate, to help you on, in the garden, which is life and what we're going through." Yeah.
I agree.
So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. Like I said, we'll talk about the more stuff again and showing you that we don't have to talk about politics per se every show. No, we could talk about something different you call it different. That's not political, because again, I know certain points. Talking about President Trump and all this stuff right now, it's annoying, and I get it. But like I said before, I do Project One might just bring topics that people might have not heard about. Because right now, it's funny. There are videos that's going on right now in New York, and I showed you a little clip of it in Chicago. But now there are videos in New York of people's like they're taking over their schools and stuff. Even people who are Hispanic themselves are saying, "Wait a minute, how come all these illegals are taking stuff from us and whatever?" Hispanics themselves who are legal saying that about the illegals. So. And the number one thing is your vote does matter locally. I've been saying that since I started this show.
Very much.
So that's all I'm talking about with that. So we'll get back into that and maybe talk about the Durham report, because it, like when you go into the Durham report and you hear stuff, you're like it's like my wife said, it is things that we already know, but it's also like, why did they even try this stunt or this move and thought that they didn't get away with it? Even the report says the stuff that Hillary did, that it's like, I could have saw that,
Right.
and nobody else. It's just weird. But anyway, again, I want to thank you for giving us your time, your mind, your ears. Listen to what we have to say. So we'll we'll talk about other stuff in the future, different culture, not only cultural stuff, also political things, and just good nature stuff in a way. Because this one was not negative per se, just what we're. This was more of like a conversation about men and female relationships, including the black community where we all talk about it. Right? So, like I said, remember guys, out there, evil comes in all shapes, size, color, creed, height, sex, gender, country, nationality. It makes no sense. Equals evil. Of course, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your community, take care of your neighbors, and last but not least, remember, people are stupid, individuals smart, be a smart individual, right? So we'll catch you next time. Again, if you don't see a show next Thursday, it's because stuff is going on. Blame it on me, not my wife, as she said, it's on me. But hopefully we in the future we'll do more stuff. You place a better camera, different things, all kind of stuff. You never know. In that regard.
Fancy.
We're gonna be fancying up the site, of course. So catch you on Thursday. If not, have a good week. Be careful. Be careful. Memorial Week is coming up. Don't do anything stupid, illegal, dumb. Take care of yourself. And we'll catch you next time. All right?
Bye, everyone.
Peace.